Chapter 7 and 8. Let him go! Let him go! It wasn't him, said Chaya as the guards seized Neil. Someone shoved her against the wall as the men pushed past, dragging Neil through the doorway. Well, well, General Siri slapped Neil on the back of the head. So we find you at last, eh? Trust me, boy, it's over for you. The king's men crowded round them, and Chaya lost sight of Neil. She scrambled up the half wall and jumped over, following the glimpse of his pastel blue shirt as he was taken away in a surge of men. Wait, she screamed. It wasn't him, wait! A guard grabbed her and pulled her away. Stay out of this, miss. Chaya struggled against him, her hair catching in his copper buttons. Let me go, she hit out at the guard. She heard the crack of bone on bone and saw blood pool on his lips, leaving her knuckles stinging. She slipped out of his grasp and ran towards the front, fighting her way through the throng of men. It wasn't him, it wasn't him, it was me! Chaya's screams burned her throat, but no one took any notice. She saw two men at the front haul Neil into a cart. Bodies hit against her, buffeting her from side to side, and her ears rang with the whinnying of horses and the crunch of cartwheels. Something scraped against her arm, leaving a slash of blood. She thrust away to the front, where the purple waistcoat of General Siri flashed golden at the seams, sitting high on his horse. Chaya threw herself in front of him, blocking the way. The horse reared up, and General Siri gaped down at her. What the? Get out of the way before you get killed, idiot! It was me, yelled Chaya. I stole the jewels. It wasn't Neil. General Siri looked confusedly at his deputy next door to him. The man shook his head. It's Headman Sarah's daughter. She's friends with the boy. Her father lets her mix with all sorts. She spat on the ground. Get out, said General Siri. The guard pulled her off the path, grabbing her by the neckline of her dress, the cloth cutting into her throat. No, wait! The words stuck in her throat. Her palms slammed into gravel as he pushed her by the wayside and the sounds rolled away. Oh, please! He didn't do it. It was me. She scrabbled up and dusted her hands, but by then the whole convoy was disappearing into the distance. Chaya trudged back to the workshop and sat on Neil's empty stool. She put her head on his work table and punched the surface. Tears spilled down her face and darkened the partly carved locusts he'd been working on. She had to pull herself together. There was no time to waste. She was the one who'd got Neil into this, and it was up to her to fix things. She looked up and dried her eyes. There was a movement in the corner of the workshop. Noor was standing by the far wall. What on earth? Chaya glared at her. I'm sorry about what happened, said Noor. I really... Oh, go away, said Chaya. You shouldn't be here. You tried to take the blame. Noor seemed to consider Chaya, her head cocked on one side. I am to blame. Chaya got up and paced the room. She had to help Neil. What could she do? But why did you do it? Do what? Did you just leave? I just don't have time for this right now. But Noor stayed where she was, staring outside as if deep in thought. I mean, she said, you know the consequences of being caught. Why did you say you did it, even if it was true? Because Neil is my friend. Is that so hard to understand? Noor stared at Chaya for a moment before turning back to the outside again. Chaya picked up Neil's carving tools that had been scattered on the floor when he was dragged out. She felt Noor's eyes on her. She wrapped them in a rug and dropped them into her pocket. Where are you going? Asked Noor. Chaya made for the outside. Chaya ignored her. Wait. Noor hurried up behind. Are you going to help your friend? Chaya turned to her sharply. Of course I am. How? Noor ran beside Chaya, struggling to keep up on the narrow path. How will you help him? By doing what I do best. And what's that? Breaking into places and making off with stuff, said Chaya, and strode away as Noor stared after her in surprise. As evening fell, Chaya waited in father's easy chair on the veranda, her knees drawn up under her chin. The leaves of the neem tree rustled in the breeze, filling the air with its herby scent. The gate clanked open and Chaya bounded out of the chair as father came in. He looked up and sighed. He climbed up the 3 wide steps very slowly, as if dreading her inevitable question. Father! Chaya was too afraid to ask. She could guess the answer already. The king wasn't known for his mercy. Father sank into an easy chair but didn't lean back. He patted the chair next to him. Come here. Is it bad news? She said, taking the seat. Oh, why didn't you tell me, Chaya? Neelan, the jewel thief? I can't believe it. You must have known. Chaya pushed her fingers into the weaving of her seat. He's not a thief. He really isn't. Please trust me on this. There's been a mistake. Father shook his head. It was no mistake. He was caught with the jewels. Could she tell him? No, Father would never turn her in. He'd lock her up at home to protect her and would never let her rescue Neil. He might even turn himself in to do the right thing by Neil. But a guard near the Queen's quarters said it was a girl. That's what he insists, but it can't be true, of course. He's afraid and making things up. Everyone else reported different descriptions of the boy. The truth is, people were panicking and running, and no one knew who was chasing whom. The edge of the weaving cut into the skin as Chaya gripped it harder. But if they ask that guard... Oh, he's been fired, Chaya. Only one person knew that Neil wasn't the jewel chief, and he was gone. Oh, how could they do that? He didn't do anything. The king doesn't take too kindly to a breach like this. You know how it is. All his reign he's been fearful of an uprising against him, with good reason. Chaya took a deep breath and tried to calm her racing heart. What happens now? What happened about Neil? Father took her hand. I'm so sorry, my child, but the king has given his verdict. No! Chaya got up and snatched her hand away. No, there hasn't been a trial. What about witnesses? Someone else could have planted the jewels in the workshop. That's just not fair. Chaya, there were tears in her father's eyes. I know this is hard for you. Neelan is your best and oldest friend, but he's done something terrible. No, he hasn't. The king can't do this. What about proof? They can't sentence an innocent person to death. Well, that's just it. There's no need for proof, Chaya. The boy has confessed.